Bitcoin is basically the creation of commodity money in digital form. So they made something that requires work to produce, which is unlike the fiat currency system and unlike most of these other digital assets.
Proof of stake is really just the fiat system, but with a blockchain and some waste.
If you worship the laws of physics and the laws of thermodynamics and mathematical clarity, then Bitcoin's your religion.
$21 million. That is the promise of Bitcoin. Or said another way, that is the truth of Bitcoin. There will only ever be 21 million of them, period. But you don't have to take our word for it. You can verify it for yourself. Spin up a node, run the numbers, and you will see the self-evident truth. It's written in the open source code, distributed and synced across tens of thousands of independent nodes worldwide that exist in our shared objective reality. Bitcoin's value proposition is provable, mathematical, immutable scarcity.
Bitcoin has higher truth embedded in code, right? This 21 million number is quite literally transcendental. We can't touch it, we can't change it, we can't do anything about it. Every 10 minutes, it's promulgating the most indisputable truth that we've ever had, right? It's true global consensus.
Bitcoin's 21 million supply cap is immutable because of decentralization and game theory.
If you worship the laws of physics and the laws of thermodynamics and mathematical clarity, then Bitcoin's your religion.
Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever he, she, or they were, whether through invention or discovery, gave humanity perfect digital money with a predetermined and self-adjusting issuance schedule, and then disappeared.
We're kind of in this world now where you have digital bearer assets like Bitcoin being the most immutable, the most money-like out of all of them, commodity money, hard money. And then you have various imitators.
On Nakamoto's coattails, 20,000 wannabes, charlatans, and even flat-out scammers with their various coins, tokens, and NFTs, so-called altcoins, designed at improving on the Bitcoin protocol, but none can be compared to Bitcoin.
A security is a proprietary asset in some way, shape, or form. And the whole nature of securities law, it starts from this ancient idea, thou shalt not lie, cheat, or steal. If I create my own yo-yo coin or Mikey coin, and then there's a million of them, and I tell you that I think that it's a really good thing and Mikey coin will go up forever, right? And everybody buys Mikey coin, and then I give 10 million to you and don't tell the public, right? I've cheated them.
You know, a lot of people in this space will use a phrase that you may be familiar with. There's Bitcoin and then there's shitcoin.
Which one's the best crypto asset? Well, Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Okay, what's the second best? There is no second best. There's no second best crypto asset. There's a crypto asset, it's called Bitcoin, right?
Bitcoin's immaculate conception means there's no central authority, no CEO. Satoshi hasn't been heard from in over a decade, the very definition of decentralization. Rules absent of rulers.
The decentralized nature of the Bitcoin protocol has been tested. People have tried to co-opt control of Bitcoin's source code and push it in certain directions that benefit their business models. And this network and this protocol and its open source governance have withstood that test.
If you're going to be putting anything on a blockchain, and if it's going to actually be useful as a blockchain, it needs to be decentralized. And if it's actually really decentralized, not decentralization theater, as is the case with most shitcoins that essentially just have basically a few people in charge.
So how do millions of network participants agree on the state of this distributed ledger in real time? Bitcoin's consensus mechanism, proof of work.
You need proof of work to embody skin in the game in the marketplace such that contributions are commensurate with consideration received. That's how systems work.
There were only 8 citations in the Bitcoin white paper, and one of them was Adam Back's work on proof of work.
Bitcoin is basically the creation of commodity money in digital form. So they made something that requires work to produce, which is unlike the fiat currency system and unlike most of these other digital assets. It actually goes back to the days of commodity money, except it improves on that because it makes it more divisible, more verifiable, and more portable.
Einstein said matter is energy and energy is matter. What is property? Property is economic matter. What is money? Money is economic energy. Is Bitcoin digital money? Yeah. Is it digital property? Yeah. Is it digital energy? Yeah.
Proof of work is what imbues Bitcoin with what computer scientist and cryptographer Nick Szabo termed unforgeable costliness, one of the main attributes of commodity money throughout human history. A gold coin, for example, has unforgeable costliness because the very item itself represents all the time and energy it took to find the ore, dig it out of the ground, process it, and press it into a coin with the face of an emperor, king, or president on it. Similarly, Bitcoin represents all the time and energy it took to produce as well, although digitally, not physically. This is why, like gold, it's known as a bearer asset. Anyone can verify its authenticity by checking the ledger. It's unforgeable, and you can't simply make more of them at no additional cost like you can with paper dollar bills or JPEGs. To the uninformed observer, however, an appealing alternative to this so-called intolerable expenditure of energy is the consensus mechanism known as proof of stake, wherein network participants can stake their tokens to become eligible validators of the blockchain, as opposed to miners in the Bitcoin network. Co-founder and inventor of Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin, explains.
Proof of work is based on the laws of physics, and so you sort of have to work with the world as it is, right? You have to work with electricity as it is, hardware as it is, what computers are. Whereas because proof of stake is virtualized in this way, it's basically letting us create a simulated universe that has its own laws of physics. And that just gives us as protocol developers a lot more freedom to optimize the system around actually having all of the different security properties that we want.
So in other words, a central committee who sets the rules of the system has more freedom or power to optimize said system around what they want. What could possibly go wrong?
The problem is proof of stake systems, someone's got to create the stake to sell, right? And that whole process cannot be fair. So in the case of, like, say, Ethereum, they're going to make a big piece of the pie and pre-sell to insiders. The large portion of the stake is largely controlled by a few entities. So proof of stake is really just the fiat system, but with a blockchain and some waste.
In a world where you have runaway fiat printing that has no production cost whatsoever, and nation states that could print, buy coins off the protocol, and then start staking them, right? There's arguably an incentive to act this way to control which transactions are being included, not included. I mean, at that point, you can do whatever you want.
There's nothing physically preventing you from just printing all the money to buy all the stake to gain the control authority over the ledger. That's one of the dangers of coupling control authority over the ledger to something that doesn't physically exist.
That has no tie to physical reality.
It's the fiat system, but without a military to force you to use the token. And this is, I think, why it's ultimately doomed, because it's only good for the insiders, and you can't get the outsiders to join in unless you put a gun to their head, which is how the current fiat system works. So I can't see it being successful in the long run, except in the short run to basically promote shitcoin scams.
Scholars of monetary history will know that humans are utterly defenseless against corruption when given the power to change the rules when it suits them. They say absolute power corrupts absolutely, which is why Bitcoiners choose to opt into a system of verifiable rules and transparent governance with no governing authorities.
Over the course of those 5,000 years, time and time again, they get exploited. People find a way to systemically exploit the rule set to take advantage of the abstract power. There is an enormous incentive to do that because it's a giant honeypot problem.
Proof of stake is less energy intensive than proof of work. While this is certainly true, pundits seem divided on exact figures. In 2017, for example, Newsweek declared that Bitcoin mining was on track to consume all of the world's energy by 2020. When the world didn't end by 2021, climate experts had revised this estimate down just a tad to the approximate energy consumption of Norway. Critics of proof of work seem obsessed with the power consumption of Bitcoin, but are, quote, mum when it comes to the energy used to illuminate Christmas lights, to power data centers behind Netflix, or to distribute untold millions of single-serve meal kits, according to Nick Carter in an op-ed about the issue. Does it waste energy or does it cost energy? And is sound money worth the cost? Bitcoiners seem to think so.
Using energy is not a bad thing, Matt. Engineering and the use of energy is implied in like the growth of humanity. You know what else uses a lot of energy? An airplane. So I tell you what, you don't like energy. Next time you and the wife go to Europe, you take a kayak, I'll fly United. Next time you want to save and grow your family's wealth, you use the dollar, I'll use Bitcoin.